So in applied combatives training, we focus on what are called training enviroments. And different environments give us the capacity or the opportunity to work on very specific skills. You could call it like a skill-specific environment. One environment is called the roaming environment, where a group of people are going to move around fairly tightly together on the floor and focus on some specific skills. The next environment is what's called the off-the-line environment. The off-the-line environment requires us to take turns, basically starting with our eyes closed. As soon as we open our eyes, the other person is going to attack us, which we can demonstrate in a moment. Another environment is called the weaving hands environment, which is a whole series of partner-based cooperative drills to get us very familiar with the interaction with another person's hands as they're punching at us, trying to stab us, or things like that, maybe hit us with a club. So that, again, our hands are weaving in from one hand to the other hand, or from weapon to weapon, and we can demonstrate that in a moment as well. There's the rhythm boxing environment, which uses music in the background to help us work on very specific skills around footwork, around hand placement, around taking the initiative, around double beats, things like that. But having the situation controlled by rhythm allows the intensity to work up gradually so that no one gets hurt. Well, not often anyway. Then there's general sparring-like environments, things that have specific to do with sticks and knives. But today I just want to share a few examples of some of what those other environments look like. So if my assistant instructor and friend Joe can help me out here, we'll just demonstrate some weaving hands. So the basic setup for weaving hands, we'll just turn this way just a bit, that should work, is I'm going to come towards him in this drill with 3 punches, and he's going to come towards me with 3 punches. Right? Now, this is kind of like patty cake, so if you're wondering why we're not pulling our folding knife out and going for the jugular, it's because we're trying to focus on a specific thing. Right? Now, this can get very fast, which isn't really any more helpful than just saying, wow, you can go really fast. But when you start to develop with this, again with weaving, is as soon as I punch, he wants to be looking at the next punch, right? This punch comes in, he's looking for the next punch, and I see this, and I go forward this one, then the next one, then the next one. It also conditions me for hand placement. So I don't want to try and interact with his arm like this, because it'll slip off. I don't want my thumb to be out, because it can get broken. And I don't want to grab, because now I can't use my hand for anything else. If I can just place the shape of my hand, which magically, like Lego, matches the shape of his hand there, now I have the most interactive connection with his body. Right? So it's familiar, that's where I want it to be. If it's not there, I'm not mad at myself, it's just not there. Right? Now, one of the things that come up in this situation is there's different ways to interact. One of the fun ones to interact with you see coming is called jamming, where I don't just stop his hand from coming towards me, I actually send some force up his arm and affects his balance. So we'll just kind of go back and forth jamming. It's very important to make the discernment between leaning, which is actually falling over, and using your pivot, your side to side, develop power, right, to shove him away. It's a bit disconcerting when someone punches at you and you just push it back into his body. So that's jamming. The next one we would call redirecting, right, which is taking the fist that's coming at me, getting out of the way, and then moving my hand towards that second weapon. Towards that second weapon, right? Smart. Okay, then I'll go. So we just do this redirecting back and forth. Right? And this develops that weaving hands capacity, right? Which is what's the other weapon doing and it's my turn. Another one is called neutralizing, where I use a lot of pivot and try and off angle enough that where he was punching, he's now somewhere else. So that way it doesn't make a lot of noise because I'm not using a lot of force. I'm just redirecting myself and the pressure just to get familiar with what would happen if I move away from what was coming at me and just let it pass me. I'm not going to get into a keto, but that's kind of where it would end up. So those are the three guns of interaction: jamming, redirecting, neutralizing. And there's lots of other hand positions, so we'll just examine some of them. The next one you would typically learn is going to be palm up around the wrist, palm down around the elbow. He does the same. Now again, we're not training, this is how a fight is going to go. We're training our nervous system to always, if we can, see a weapon coming. Just in case you're in a hurry and you miss with the first deflection, you can still pick it up, right? It's an instinctive thing to go, holy crap, when something's coming at you. So I'm trying to turn holy crap into what's the other weapon doing, and where's the other guy, and can I rip this off and continue to get into that place of just flowing into the situation instead of going, uh-oh, 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 right? So we're conditioning our body's reflexes and awareness to weave weapon, weapon, weapon. And in combat, it'd be weapon, other weapons fine, and be looking for other stuff to do, because that's inevitably going to be what's going to have to happen. So you can have some fun?
I'm good.
Okay. Right, so nice little warm up, nothing too scary. Right, other things that come from this are all of the throws you can do, because when you get wrist elbow as a habit, right, there's all the stuff that can happen on top of, on the back of the elbow. If nothing else than just climbing his body like a monkey, right, because that's in your nervous system, right. So we have that. And sometimes it's fun to play a game called Touch Your Shirt, where we try and touch each other in the shirt. Right? So that slightly more vigorous expression of the movement. I'm still conditioning my central nervous system to be patient and just stay with the inevitability of weapons flying. Another hand position is now the hand on the wrist like this, palm down, other hand on the wrist, palm up. This is a little more confusing because you have to keep your hands, I don't know, kind of ahead of the other guy a bit. But again, it's a completely instinctive kind of movement. I see something coming, holy crap. In fact, it sets up this supported arm structure, which can, be used very effectively if you are losing the initiative. He's taking shots, and you come up from there. But it's the same instinctive reflex. I've just decided to move forward with it. You can just disrupt the limb itself by straightening it up and shoving some force into it. Unlikely, but possible. Right, main thing though, I'm making it more a demand on my nervous system to keep up with the drill. So I'll shoot. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, as I get more and more comfortable with that again, he comes at me with anything, and I don't have to be on the outside or the inside, but I'm weaving in, and as soon as I can pick up that second weapon, here's the second weapon, I'm not stopping until, well, he begs me to, because that's combat. Right. Another thing that comes out of this, and there's a few ways to do this, is called the hubud. This comes from Kali and some stick and knife fighting. I might take a high line angle and absorb the blow, keep the knife away from me, and check it out. So again, if I was pretending I had a knife here, I would be going to do that. And this is where you start to learn all kinds of disarms with knives. We're not doing knives today, we're just talking about the leading hands situation. But now I'm learning to not assume I get to do 3 things for everything that he does, but at least I have the chance to do more than one. Instead of, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, geez, this is taking forever. If I can go like this consistently to what he's doing, then it's just as likely that I can take this and hit him instead of coming this way. Or take this and get it on the second weapon right away, because in my training I'm familiar with 1, 2, 3. Right? So that's a good thing. 1, 2, 3. Right, where's the other weapon? There's the spine. So I'm just conditioning certain kinds of flow in my body with that. And, you know, we go on and on and on. Yeah, there's about 20 other weaving hands situations, but the main thing with weaving hands is, and he's going to come in fairly randomly, and then there's the other hand, right? And there's his eye, and the low length's ready, and we're going to get into the tussling situation, or I have to start hitting it. Now, a good thing about the weaving hand situation, and just keep playing around, right, is I'm now instinctively wanting 2 hands, if possible, on that first weapon, just in case he's really strong. I can check it, monitor it more effectively, and get onto this. I'm not too worried about this at this point. But what I want to start to demonstrate here is, it's called the unbendable arm for, well, party trick reasons. If I can go weapon, and get towards the spine, and I could be hitting him and hitting him and hitting him, but right now what I want to do is set up a distance where I have my hand keeping him from running away or from coming any further forward, so that if I do want to hit him 5 or 6 times, he's not so close that I feel like a Tyrannosaurus Rex and can't use my hands because they're too close. Or he escapes and ducks and leaves, and then I can't hit him. So I use the weaving hands primarily to come in, right? So there's 2 hands on this one. What's this one doing? Get that unbendable arm. Now, if you wanted to swing at me with this hand, right, I'm just going to stay checking with it. But what I want to do is set this up so I can just start, you know, disrupting this one, hitting him at the distance where my strikes are going to be important. Now, he just might happen to be a bit of a grappler, right? So if I keep this distance here, and he decides if he wants to grapple, and I can control his head more instinctively if I always think about, well, most people are going to want to wrestle, so I've got this distance here, and again, I'm not hitting him as many times as I want. I'm just demonstrating the effectiveness of keeping his neck at bay. Now, obviously, that's only going to work for the 3 or 4 heartbeats that the person doesn't realize. All he has to do is shrug it off, and now something else is going to happen. But if I got that 3 or 4 heartbeats and I can hit him a couple of times, then it's paid its dues. So again, weaving, 2 hands on the first weapon, monitor the second weapon, get something on his spine, get a good distance so that whatever weapons I'm using, I have the capacity for them to be very effective. Because again, too close, not effective, too far, not effective. Just right. So that's what weaving hands is about.